the time. But as you can see, every one of the other masteries are above the state average. And we want to maintain pace, but also keep a mind that as the cohorts change, so that it's the state level of passing and mastery. So this is also on your computers and board docs as well. In addition, our college entrance, these are the years from cohort to cohort to cohort. You can see changes, but when you look at the national average, we really always have to compare things to the national average. We're above pretty much in each one of the national averages. With the SAT from year to year, a lot of times you see stagnation with the average scores for school districts. But you can see here with the critical reading and math, each one are taking some steps forward, which that's good, as well as it's well above the national average. So we want to continue along that line, just so that we keep understanding how the assessments are changing for students trying to gain admission in college, and what we need to make sure we get our commencement students at the level or above. One of the things about academic rankings is we always try to keep comparisons. For us, we really compare with the upstate New York rankings. In the Binghamton-Elmira area, which is a subsection of that, we are fourth. The three schools ahead of us are Windsor, Vestal, and Maine Enwell. And we've always rated very closely with each one of those three. We are at 82 of the 431 upstate schools with this metric. We're up 3 places from 85. The big part about this is it sort of isolates and separates Westchester County and below and the island from us. On the academic side, it's hard to make a comparison where you look at over across the whole state. But this is how the dynamic is our best metric that explains it very closely as apples to apples as much as possible from school to school. Several things are going on with our academics, our curriculum, but obviously the biggest thing that's going on is our capital improvement. Just to remind the board as well as the public, phase 1 is complete. Phase 1 had a lot of quick turnaround items, parking, a lot, especially in Gardner Road, roofs. But we wanted to show you some of the image is from start to finish at Gardner Road, because the biggest thing you see, if you're far away, is the parking lot. We will probably be going back to our elementaries within the next year as we are gearing up for our final phase of our capital project. But that was our first capital project. In there, we also had a yearly annual project, which was the cafeteria remodeling at Center Street, and from start to finish, changing the structure within the cafeteria, as well as the old built-in wall units that are no longer functioning, and cleaning it up, giving it a bright professional persona with a new energy-efficient window versus the old, and cleaning that up. So we wanted to show you that that's a smaller project that we did in addition to the major project. In addition, in our capital improvement of the $94 million, we did a lot of roofs. So we took a sample of Big Flats roof, sort of what it looks like before when you start to tear it down, to the point that this is the condition our roofs should be in. And if you take a little look at this little strainer right here, some of our roofs are in that condition when the roof is out of warranty. That's the hard part. It's leaking water. So this was a roof that was one of our more severe. As you can see, now it's nice and clean, clear detail, and we have not been seeing or having the headaches of a 30, 33-year-old roof. However, there's many more across the districts that we're trying to repair. So you'll be seeing that come up as we modify some of our end projects. In addition, one of the big safety improvements over at Ridge Road was the playground, but most importantly was this fence right here along Wygant as well as Ridge. That's a 55-mile-an-hour speed restrictive fence that if a car went careening into it, it is rated to stop the car within 10 feet. Our playground is very close to areas that should not be going at that speed, but it was a necessary safety issue that we had to put in order to keep the playground there. And then this is what we are looking at trying to overall throughout our three full projects over a 10, 12-year period, our playgrounds for our students that are elementaries. Another project that's done besides the phase 1 is the district-wide technology. This was an infrastructure project to bring all of our buildings into line technology-wise, as well as trying to upgrade our instructional technology with our Promethean boards that were becoming out of date in most of the classrooms as we start to do the switchover. The big thing is we had one of the old antiquated analog telephone systems, voice over IP with automatic connection with 911 and a variety of host features, not only in the district, but across the districts that represent the greater Southern Tier BOCES, as well as a lot of infrastructure to build the backbone of the whole technology system. Bless you. And then also technology and security and video surveillance for our buildings, even at the elementary, that we can expand upon. That's really a major initiative because it helps us when our eyes are not there or we are not there to try to make sure we maintain the safety and security of our property, our students, and most importantly, the liability for our community. Then also, the biggest portion is underway right now, and as you can see from the right, this is sort of a hallway view. I know the board will be going out on its visits over the next week. You'll get a little more in-depth here at the high school. This is a hallway view of what the kids see, where we try to isolate the construction from the areas or revamp our exit routes, such as here when we find that we need to close off an entrance. All the planning from Mike, his team, Welliver, Hunt, make this possible. In the middle, you can start to see the formation. They've already gutted the lower science rooms, and I believe the secondary science rooms, that they're already starting to right-size the rooms and starting to do the framing on it. So you can see that the transformation, these rooms are much bigger when you walk in, and we will get you in there next week. And that's sort of an interesting part. What we're doing right now is, this is at the end of the hall, and they had to remove and jackhammer to break the floor, but ultimately to build the well for the elevator that will have to go in there. It's interesting because they have to build the elevator shaft and get it all complete, and then take individual measurements and then order the elevator so that it fits within the shell. It's not like you order the elevator and then build the shell and hope that they go together. We have to do two of these because come summer, the link will go down where our only elevator is, and now both ends of the buildings will have access for ADA compliance on each side. In addition, there's going to be a lot of outdoor activity. This is more of the outdoor activity that sets the stage, taking down the buildings, building the construction area for our trailers, our storage of material, and then they're already starting the water lines and everything for the stadium. And I've been told that right now the winter has been at least very good to us and to the construction point, that they believe once they get to March, they will be able to go off and running at that point, where you never know with the freeze of the ground. But we've been informed that there's only a short week before they start going gangbusters on the outside as well. So please be aware. Hopefully everybody wants a snow day, they want to keep the ground clear. In addition, another major area is the cafeteria kitchen, so you'll be going into this area now. A lot of abatement in this area, but as you can see, the cafeteria is pretty much gutted down the structure, where eventually they're going to have to redo the structure and open the roof. That is coming towards, I believe, the summer, is it not, Mike? And then this is the old kitchen area where they're demoing walls and really gutting it. And then on the outside, this is where they're going to start to reform the full exterior, as this will all become enclosed, open up the roof and open up the cafeteria. And then again, the wall partitions to close it off so education keeps moving forward. So a lot of work going on in a very short time. The expectation potentially for this being done is like fall semester, September, October.
The cafeteria?
Yes.
Cafeteria, our goal is to be open over September.
Yeah. We're keeping a backup plan of an extra 2 months just to be safe, because we can't even start the middle school project until this is fully up and functioning. So we just want to make sure that we have plenty of time. In addition, the other major piece that's going on right now that changes almost daily, and that's because of the winters, is this is the library layout. As you can see, this is sort of the back end of the library in the quad, and you can start seeing the foundation walls. Here's the opening over by the swimming pool. It's interesting, they have to do portions of this, and then they'll end up closing in this area, but they can't do that until they get rid of the link so that they can always have access. It's sort of a dance, they're handling it very well, but we have it very well marked. We've also, from our last meeting, had developed a student corridor to try to keep the traffic and keep the students in the area, the students that comply. So this will be something I think you'll enjoy seeing because it literally changes every day. Just from I think about a week ago, now there's frost walls up and they're starting to go all the way around the corner, which starts to give you the idea of what's happening because we've had many teachers say, boy, that looks awful small. But it's like construction when they actually go out and you can start seeing, because now you're starting to see foundational walls. You can see it's actually a very large area. It eats up a large portion of the old quad. So, capital improvement, we still have a little bit more to go. That's been the driving force. I just want to give you an update. We will be beginning spring and summer 2020 of the middle school, intermediate school, because we had our bid opening yesterday, and we came in roughly around $20,000 to $30,000 over budget. But within the grand scope of the entire budget right now, with the numbers that we have here, and only remaining to be estimated and bid is this elementary transportation. Right now, if that one came on budget, we're about $440,000 under budget. So we're hoping, and that all depends on the high school. Keep your fingers crossed. We have contingency. We save money there. We've tried to set this up so that we can do more work along the scope here because of unit pricing. So in general, we're moving forward. Right now, it's still money-wise being very good and being very favorable for us to go forward. Obviously, all of this, academics, capital, comes at a cost. And that's one of the things we're always judged about as we go into budget time. We have to be judged about it and be mindful of it. Of the 431 upstate districts, Horseheads is the 17th most cost-effective district in the state. And the reason why I say in the state, not just upstate, is because remember I said there's about 270 from Westchester down? They have a lot more money and they spend a lot more than us per pupil, which you'll see later. So in essence, I would more take that and want our community to know we're pretty much one of the most cost-effective districts for the quality of education that we put out across the state of New York with a good assumption and generalization. In addition, just to show that, expenditures per pupil, you can see these are the last 3 years of data until we get the new data this year. If you look, Horseheads is in the blue, but down at the bottom is the key number. Less than similar schools. Schools similar to us in size, dynamics, as AA, rural, suburban. Similar schools in the state spend about $4,000 more per student than us. In 15-16, about $5,300. And then in 16-17, about $5,400. But when you look across, that's that Westchester County and below thing, when you start adding the entire state together, the average spending per pupil, Horseheads spends $1,450, $5,000 less, almost $7,000 less, and almost $7,400 less. And we produce a very high caliber graduate, and that is something that we really need to emphasize and let our community know. Because as budget comes, this is going to be a challenging budget. Because no matter what, you've seen some of the news from Albany. During this time, whenever taxes come out or whenever you have that discussion, a lot of people say, oh, you're administratively top-heavy. You have too many administrators. Cut them. The budget and taxes won't go down. Of 431 districts, Horseheads has the most administratively efficient district and running for the school district in the state. And the reason I say the state is that generalization. There are many more per capita administrators from Westchester on out. But just in upstate, we're still at 14. And that's, I think, moved from 17 to 14 in the past 2 years. So it's something to be proud of because we do a lot here. Our faculty, our staff, and our administrators, but a lot less than other schools similar size and above. Now, as you do that, we're bringing in the budget. I wanted to bring it up so that people understand what we're dealing with. According to Painted Post School District, over the past 4 years, their tax rate has gone from 2364, 2404, 2417 to 2381. Elmira Heights, 1979, 2177, 2228, 2278. Elmira, 2186. They come down, they sort of go up and down. With their building, they're at 2060. That's almost $2.56 more per thousand. These are the apple to apples numbers for Horsehead. And sometimes I don't think we understand that totally. But that difference of $2.50 is the difference of about $5 to $6 million in our budget every year. If you go from 18 to say just roughly 24, you got $6. That's a difference of about $13 million in budget if we had the exact same apples to apples tax bracket. So that's where that administrative cost per pupil comes in. So just being aware, that's what we've always been mindful of. In addition, just so you know, we've got to start, and we've been doing this the past 2 years, making people understand that the tax levy percentage really means nothing. It is the change from one year to another, what happened with that tax levy that we collect. But really what matters is the tax rate, because this tells you how it affects the money in one's pocket. And as you can see, just imagine, 13% pass, 13% increase. It passed. 8.56 tax rate change. But notice it went down. 6.8 went down to 3.8. 4.73, 1.0. 6.75, 0.05%. That was a 1 cent per thousand. No, 1 cent per 100,000. I'm sorry, it was a 10 cent per 100,000 tax increase. But it came with a 6.75% tax levy. So that's something we're going to have to look at, because as we've gone down through the years, we started turning negative, especially in here. But even last year, remember last year we had a potential calculated tax levy, I think 7.65 or 7.69% on the tax levy. The rate we thought was going to be about, I think it was 3.2 or 3.5 in that range. However, the hard part, Katie does her best with the numbers she's given, and as long as the towns and villages stick to the percentage of 100% assessment, she's pretty close to her numbers. Now what happens is when August comes and the board sets that rate, what happened is our 69 cents on 100,000, or 69 cents on 1,000, turned out to be 6 cents on 1,000 from estimated to the actual, which is a 0.34% rate. Just imagine, this is the hard part. Nobody wants to say put these huge tax levies up there. But if we would have had the full amount, it would have been roughly an 11 cents or $11 per $100,000 tax increase. And it would have raised an extra $1.4 million. The reason why that's important as you head into the budget is you're going to hear some of the issues that are creeping up, because we already know that the state took money. They aren't giving us money now. So overall, we are moving forward with our educational initiatives and much needed capital improvements. The district is currently in good financial shape. However, the challenges are ahead in terms of state aid support and the revenue stream. Really, our issue is not necessarily about expenditures, as you can see, especially compared to the state. It's about we are not getting revenue from the state. And we do not have many revenue streams except our local property. The good part is our value of our district is rising. It was on the rise by about, I think, a factor of 2.175 or something last year. Was it? And this year it's like 1.71, 1.72. Yeah, I'm not trying to steal it from thunder. But that tells us our district is moving forward. And just think, if you look around when you drive down the road, what's happening? There's a dandy coming in. Kentucky Fried Chicken just opened up. Not to say that those food places are my favorite. But we also have 2 car dealerships expanding. Not just building a new building. They're building a new car dealership and bringing in another car dealership for another piece of their operation into our district. Not to mention that right where the district office is, Big Flats is putting in a brand new development, I think, of 50 to 100 homes. Yeah, it's already that they're tearing down that horse farm. But that's the growth in the district, and that's just a small, very visual part. There's other growth that we don't understand and see until afterwards, the solar fields and so forth. So those are things we have to keep in mind that we won't know until August, this year and even next. That will help our community as well as the taxpayers. Overall, our administrative team is working to the best of our abilities to balance all factors and needs to maintain the district's educational health and well-being of our community's children. And tonight starts that process for the following year. But it's not going to be any easy process. So I want to thank you for listening. We did it in about 20 minutes. And we are ready to move on to the budget session, but I wanted to give you any chance to questions or anything that we've gone over or something like that.
I just have a comment. I think that's a great overview, and it's when you see it all put together and everything that the district has accomplished over the past years, it's pretty substantial, particularly with all the construction and the changes that we're seeing. So it is pretty exciting to see the changes that have already been put into place and that people will remember those. So, thank you to everybody who's been involved in that. Because even though we're seeing all these changes, we're still keeping the wheels on the bus and we're still continuing to thrive academically. Clearly, when we look at that data, so it's really exciting to see.
Well, without any further ado, the money show is about to begin with our wonderful assistant superintendent of business.
Good evening, everyone. Tom kind of alluded to, where we're looking at with state aid this year, while we're talking through the specifics. So right now, based on the governor's proposal, he has built in $28.1 billion for total state aid to the school districts in the state, which is an increase of $826 million, or 3%. Of this increase, there's a $304 million increase to foundation aid. He continues his initiative of the community schools funding, which is a carve-out of this foundation aid. So of this $504 million increase, another $50 million that's been carved off of this for the community schools initiative, bringing that total piece of that budget up to $300 million. So as always, he makes the first proposal interesting for everyone to get their heads around. Of note, the proposal that he's issued for formula-based aid, this is his most proposal since 13-14. We'll see what happens when it's finalized, but formula aid is not where it's been in typical years. He's including several changes to our expense-based aids, velocity aids, technical aids, things like that. He has now combined 10 of them within foundation aid. So when we all got our aid runs this year, this number is huge compared to last year. What's going on? Because he folded all these aids into foundation aid. With the idea that it gives the appearance that the amount of foundation aid due to school districts isn't as much as people think by collapsing these numbers. But you run the formula based on foundation aid. It's supposed to be run. We are still due the same amount of money, but this is kind of how it's not the mirror thing, but it's an interesting approach. It kind of begs the question of where his mind's heading with some of these expense-based aids in the future. 200 more schools this year are eligible for the community schools funding. There was a new formula in his proposal based on enrollment and our foundation aid combined wealth ratio, which did make more sense eligible this year. So we have $99,000 for this community schools program, which is a carve-out from our foundation aid. So part of our foundation aid increase, $99,000, is the community school funding, which we have to use for a very specific purpose, and we have to track it and report it separately. So it diminishes what we can use for general purpose within our budget.
What does that be used? Oh, okay.
Right on, boy.
He's proposing changes to building aid and aidability, so changes to how our building aid ratio could be calculated and what items could be aidable. Considering we have more projects we want to submit to the state, we're keeping a close eye on what he's doing here. And again, he's proposing a cap on our transportation beginning in 2022. So these are all things, some of the things he's proposed in the past that haven't made it into the final budget, but he's pushing for these changes. Hopefully enough editors are out there pushing, so when the budget's finalized, we'll return back to normal. So community school aid. So as I said, there's 200 million set aside as a carve out from the foundation aid allocated to schools in the state. It basically has that community schools funding to make the school a community partner in different ways for our students, our families, and our community in the whole. This is a quote directly from the guidance that speaks to what it should be. So there are 12 categories within the guidance that this money could be used for. Anything from academic support, mental health support, legal services for the community, after school programming. There's all sorts of things. There's bullet points within these bullet points within the guidance. So if this money stays within the budget when it's finalized, we'll come up with a plan of how to spend this $900,000. Challenges that the schools find who are given this money, well, free money always sounds great. The amount of money isn't necessarily enough to implement the programs they want to do, so that takes more money from your general purpose funds to allocate to the program. So we'll see where it lands. We'll talk internally amongst ourselves and come up with some suggestions and talk to the board more about it once we see where it's headed. So here's an overview of our state aid as it currently stands now. We do have a $196,000 increase in foundation aid, but again, $99,000 comes right off the top of that for that community school money. Increase in our transportation aid, increase in our BOCES aid. These are both aids that I'll continue to fine tune over the course of the budget development process. They are expense-driven aids, so I'll continue to work on the projections of our expenses for 1920 and see what these aids could be adjusted for next year.
This question is not, it's not easy to answer at this point, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm wondering, the significant reduction in the building aid,
Yeah.
does that, and I realize this is round one of a multi-round sort of sequence, but does that cause any concern when you see that in terms of the ongoing capital projects we have and the formulas we've used to look at what we can afford and the budgets? I mean, is that significant?
Let me speak to that. So building aid, yes, the show loss of $450,000. This was a known. Building aid last 15 years on our capital projects. So it's very clearly delineated and report from the state the lifespan of all the aid on our building projects. So this was a known. It was a known when we planned this referendum, and it was built into all the projections and the cost out of the current referendum. This building aid loss is also offset by increase in foundation aid or building aid that we're receiving for the closeout of the high school and the elementary projects. So there's an increase in aid that came along with this as well as a decrease. Planned and known, but still hard to see. The flip side on the budget side, we did have a drop in debt. So as aid falls off, debt also drops off as well.
So the headline, I guess, is when I see that, I was concerned and I thought, does this jeopardize anything we're doing from a capital project standpoint? I think the answer is no.
No. All part of the long-term planning process when we look at the referendum.
Thank you.
And Mr. Christmas, I think that's important. The capital planning process that we have, nothing is impacted by the budget. That is all moving forward. In other words, we wouldn't be stopping anything, we wouldn't be changing anything. That goes by bid money, bid total, so that's all in there. Budget is separate from capital. We do have to really make sure the community understands that. Because when you have a tight budget, they think, well, you can just take money from the capital. They're two separate pots and they do not interact.
So the building aid serves as the offset for the capital debt we have on the budget side. So usually when there's a drop in your aid, there's a corresponding drop on the debt side. So other items on here, there is a drop in our other items of $237,000. This is primarily due to the loss of the money for the aid program, due to the changes of the free aid programs, and we no longer will receive our reimbursement for the aid offerings. So overall, a decrease of 0.7%. No, I misspoke. I'm sorry, I myself. I'm sorry. This is somewhere number. The decrease in other aid items is a decrease in our excess bucket. I apologize. This is aid related to our special ed services. We had some student change services age out, caused a decrease in this aid. State aid decreased 0.7%. Okay, so our tax levy limit this year, as we know, is based on 2% of the rate of inflation. The inflation rate that was set for our tax cap calculation for 2021 is 1.81%. It was 2% last year, so a pretty healthy figure to work with. Our tax-based growth factor is 1.75%, down from 2.88 last year, but again, a very healthy figure to work with compared to other districts within our county. It's a very strong number. Again, we all know we can go beyond our levy limit calculation with a supermajority vote. Okay, so looking at 2021, we start with what we actually levied in 1920. So we levied just shy of $39,000. We applied that 1.75% to the tax-based growth factor, We add a pilot from the prior year, and we subtract out capital exemptions from the prior year to get us back to our starting point. New to the tax cap law this year, they have finally written in that school districts can include both these capital expenditures. So the cost of our district component share of their debt, the capital expense that's distributed to us. So in order to implement this change, I have to go back into 1920, readjust that exemption to include those expenses for 1920 to adjust the starting point for 2021. So that adjustment has been made. Levy growth factor is 1.81, which gets us to an adjusted levy of $40,081,397. Anticipated pilots for next year is $1,012,000. The allowable carryover is a result of us not going up the full levy last year. The tax cap calculation allows an either or scenario for the difference that's left on the table. It's scenario one is the prior year levy limit subtracted by the actual levy limit, which is the 364 figure you see here, or it's the prior year levy limit times 1.5%, which is 588. And the lesser of the two, so we have the ability to add back in at $364,000. It's basically use it or lose it because the formula resets every year. So you can use all of it, you can use a portion of it, you can choose to use it. So assuming we use all of it, we're at $39,433. Capital exemptions budgeted for next year. This includes our debt service, our capital projects, and our buses, and that new piece of proceeds offset by the allowable transportation aid on those buses, our building aid, and the BOCES aid. So our current exemptions are a little over $2 million, which puts our maximum allowable levy limit of $41,487,000, $2.6 million increase from the prior year, or 6.7%. Questions on the calculation?
The capital exemptions, you mentioned that that's any type of buildings. So looking at the next couple of years, does that number stay kind of on the high side then?
It will start to level out a little bit more. Right now we're still currently borrowing.
Okay.
To keep up with the capital project, we do a short-term borrowing each year to have cash flow to pay for that school year's project. We'll have, I think, one more borrowing after this, and then we'll be able to convert it all to long-term bonds. So it'll level up here soon. Next year we'll see another bump, another borrowing.
Big piece of the equation, $2 million out.
And that does include our bus borrowings. We currently have 3 on the books. We'll do a 4th in the spring to keep up with our cycle, offset by the 8 on that. And again, the BOCES component that's in now. summary of our revenues, tax items, this currently shows our tax levy is flat. I didn't include any sort of increase at this time. So the increase you're seeing there is primarily due to the increase in pilots in the budget. State aid, we went over that. Other revenue, as I meant to mention, the drop is primarily due to that loss of money from Columbia Community College. Leaving out the reserve and fund balance, that'll be a conversation piece later, so that puts us at 76.9. For conversation's sake, if we were to put in the same levels of fund balance and reserve, to see where we're at, we would be at $79,550,000. So down from last year. So on the expense side, salaries, are driven by our bargaining agreements and the contractual increases in there. Benefits, this increase right now is primarily due to increases in TRS, ERS, and Social Security based on the increase in salaries above. This line item at this time does not include any increase to our health claims. We need to figure out how we want to address that this year. We were several million over last year. We're trending at the same pace this year. Something that's going to be dealt with. Didn't feel that increase in that. This time just don't know what that looks like, what the budget can support. The debt service is up by $648,000. This is the result of our current building debt offset by the old debt falling off and that offset. OC services right now just showing a 4% increase. This was a flat across the board 4% increase. I did receive the latest BOCES budget from BOCES this week, so I'll start combing through that and making adjustments to the BOCES budget. A small decrease in equipment supplies and contractual, and a small increase in transfers and capital assets. This is our transfers to the special aid fund, school lunch fund, and our $1 million transfer to capital for our ambulance project. So total expenditures at this point is just a little over $83 million, 3.1 million increase of 3.96. So still some work to do. This is the early part of the budget process to roll everything over. Still need to look at things like the retirements that we have on the books, employee contributions, things like that. So there's a lot of adjustments still being made. This is just our starting point. So with the things I talked about, that puts us at a gap of 6.1 million. This is higher than what we've seen in prior years. I believe last year at this time we were at 5.4 million. So a different scenario than we're used to seeing. The revenue in the state aid isn't where it's been in prior years. So we can definitely have a revenue challenge this year. But we'll go through all these tools that we do every year, continue to fine tune the budget, and bring those adjustments to you every 2 weeks. Any questions on the overall budget before I ask for income?
I'll talk as loud as I can. I apologize, I have a cold, so just tell me to speak up if you can. And I will try not to be redundant from what Katie had said, because a lot of what's in the student services special education budget is very similar rationale to what Katie had shared. So first slide having to do with a lot of the contractual obligations that we have, salaries, tuition, the BOCES budget. As Katie said, with the BOCES budget, this is 4%, and we're expecting as an increase right now. We have an overall similar utilization this year as we did last year for BOCES. The increases that you see, example for salary, is contractual. A couple changes up or down that have to deal with equipment and supplies. Really, we're looking at how the money is utilized across all the departments that we have, all the related services, so PT, speech nurses, school psychologists, and looking at where their needs were last year, who had an increase in their needs if they needed testing equipment, or if we're increasing the amount of computers and technology that we're using, so there was a slight shift between the equipment and supplies to account for that. Like I said, other than that, it has to do with contractual obligations. Any questions for first? So same with the second slide, this is a broken down version of what you would see on the first with regards to salaries. Increase for the administrative and clerical, and the teachers have to do with contractual obligations, as do the teaching assistants and any of the other pieces that you see with regards to the roles that we support. One addition that you will see to highlight is last year we talked about adding more master's level social workers to the elementaries, and you'll see that's highlighted under the second to last breakout, social workers / assistants, because we had 9 last year. So the increase of 4, 1 for each of the elementaries, that brings us up to a total of 13. So some of the things that we're doing with the increase in staff that we're looking at right now is we've spent a good deal of time integrating them into the buildings, that they're going to get to know our culture and our needs, working directly with the social work assistants that were already in the buildings to develop those relationships with the staff, with the families and the students, and they're already now starting to push into classrooms and collaborate amongst each other as well as with the teachers. Most recently, they're looking at the new social emotional learning standards that have come out from the state, and they're starting to break those down and write rubrics so that we can take a look at that component of our curricular work, how we're looking forward in that social emotional learning in our curriculum. So it's similar or parallel, just a step behind what Tiffany's doing with the general education curriculum. Some of the other pieces, just to update from last year to where we are this year with regards to special education. Some of the pieces that we have brought on over the course of the past year, we have looked at and now started to implement us as a district, providing some of the preschool services right in our program for the kids that are in pre-Ks. So rather than having everybody from the outside of the county come in to service our students, we're building capacity for the OTs, PTs, and speech therapists to see kids right in our own classrooms and our own buildings. So that's been a change that we're working towards. We're also working closely with Tiffany, the Educational Support Center, to look at how we can better align and have a more continuous flow between our programs as it relates to kids moving from general education to RTI, and then RTI and special education, what that looks like and how we look at their growth or lack thereof, as well as the programming and the curriculum in particular. So we have kind of 2 distinct paths right now, as they're more on the restricted side of their programming, different and more intensive and direct curriculum than what they receive in general education, more for mastery of skills. And it doesn't lend itself quite as well to when we want to go back the other way, to get them back more into the general education environment. So we're working on having more aligned curriculum and a better way for the students to move between general education and special education a little bit more seamlessly. So we're really trying to tie our 2 worlds together because they're all just our students. So look at, their growth, the data, and the curriculum, and how we can look at that as a more aligned system. So that's what we've started as far as curriculum goes, and moving in that direction for the students. And by doing that, we're also looking at the professional learning. So I'm happy to say that we're drawing in some of the general education teachers that have already been working on the curriculum and writing the curriculum to now focus on professional learning for our special education teachers, so that we can start, like I said, to work together on what that looks like. So we're building capacity within our own teachers, so that our teachers are teaching our teachers, and it's a more communicative and collaborative approach to how they're working within the 2 areas of education. So just a little bit of focus. I think that's all. Yeah. So questions that you guys have, either about the slides or the direction that we're heading?
Somebody just asked me the other day,
Sure.
how many occupational and physical therapists, so it's there.
Yeah.
But what's the breakdown between the 2, so I can go back and say what it was? It's perfect.
It is. It's not as straightforward, though, because we have 12 kids. We have 2 occupational therapists, and we have 2 physical therapists.
Okay, that's all I
We buy services from BOCES, so when you saw that first slide, when you saw BOCES, we also get additional support from BOCES, so we have a 0.5 occupational therapist and a 0.4 physical therapist, but that's in BOCES budget. That is 2 and 2 that are ours.
Okay, thank you very much. I look like a hero. I really do.
That was easy. Anybody else?
So just to make sure I understand right, the employee numbers that are listed here,
Yes.
this is the current, and there's not a, a request or seeking to add additional into the coming budget?
Nope.
It's a flat?
We have 1 day additional we're requesting from BOCES.
Okay.
Because we want to service our preschool students, and that's actually a pretty good revenue generator. It's the right thing to do for the kids, but just as an aside, when we're talking about budget. Our own therapists are the only ones that can provide preschool services because it comes from the county. Right now, BOCES can't provide preschool. We asked, and however their charter is written, they used to, but they cannot now. So we pull a little bit more BOCES support so that they can provide services to the school age, and then that allows us to see more of our preschool kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Good evening. This is the overview of the athletic budget. Biggest part here is our salaries. And I'll go over that here in the next slide and break down the salaries in the athletic department. The athletic department basically consists of our New York State events. So when our kids go off to states, and whether we need a coach's bus or hotels, that's what we use some of our contractual for. And our state dues, our national dues as well, staff dues, CPR for state, we get all for our coaches, and obviously our full-time athletic trainer, which we added, I think, 2 years ago. Also the big one is reconditioning for basically a lot of it is football equipment and our lacrosse helmets that we've also approved. I think we're going on our 3rd year now with lacrosse helmets. Big changes in price. Head and safety has been a big topic over the years, and they're paying $350 for one football helmet. So, tell you really what the cost, and almost like $200 for a lacrosse helmet. So, price has increased with those pieces. Our officials, we try to keep it. They have an officials contract up to 2023. They increased $2 or $3, and the mileage increases a little bit, so we're pretty good there as far as how much money we spend on officials per year. Supplies, we have 60 athletic teams, so I try to get the basic needs for all those teams, basically what they need for the season. And there's a difference between, I did move some money around between my equipment below that to my supplies, because now I am working on a lacrosse helmet cycle of averaging buying 12 helmets every year. A helmet's only good for 3 years, so I've worked in a cycle. So I moved some money around there to fulfill those needs of replacing lacrosse helmets. And again, that equipment line also is included into my uniform line, where we have money for the uniforms that primarily buy around 6 to 7 sets of uniforms a year. Notice we have 60 teams, so I try and do a good job as far as cycling around uniforms and most in need. BOCES is our Section 4 dues that goes to the section to help supply the section. So an overall increase of 2.32. Back to the athletic salary. Obviously, the 2 positions in the athletic department. We currently have 71 coaches, paid coaches in our budget. That's including the 2 that we've added a year ago, which was a cross-country coach and a track coach. So, if you're worried about numbers, we probably had 24 unpaid coaches last year, which gives us around 95 coaches a year. Then our pool lifeguard, what it costs to do our pool lifeguard and pool director to run their pool. The time scores is our home events and pays for our supervisors. By the time we pay officials, by the time we pay clock operators and supervisors, so you know it is more expensive to have a home event than it is to travel. So there are times where I prefer to travel just based on stay within budgetary needs of what we have. The stipends stay the same, but again, based on contract obligation, there within coach's salaries around $16,000 increase. So for future budget considerations, we talked about adding, and you know the history of unified basketball has been great for us. Our numbers are aggressive. We basically could have 2 teams, so it's been asked if we add additional unified basketball coach so that those kids actually get more playing time and a better experience than what they're already getting. We've added this year within the league is unified bowling. I had the opportunity to go to our first unified bowling match tonight up at Crystal Lanes against Corning. So we saw a lot of high fives. We saw a lot of people tying other people's shoes. But it was, again, a great experience. And as you know, we have a YAC advisor. Our student athletes participate. Alicia Tenvis is our youth advisor within our district. They do a lot of good things as far as promoting inclusion for everybody in our district to participate and keep everybody involved. And we do a great job celebrating that throughout the year. So unified athletics is growing across the state, and we're doing a good job, as you see, trying to keep up with it. And that's really it for budget considerations. I guess this time, I know I zipped through those 2 slides and then asked the questions going each one, but I'll take this time if anyone has any questions in regards to athletics. Yes.
So I think I had mentioned this to both you and earlier in the year, but you know, we buy the helmets for football and for lacrosse and everything, but for wrestling, headgear is required. It's a safety piece of equipment that's required for all the athletes. So I guess my question is, should the school district be supplying those for the kids? And I know, you know, this past year, the Booster Club had bought headgear for us to be able to keep and then assign out to each of the students every year. But, you know, I don't know what the other districts do with that. And to me, it's because it's a required piece of equipment that the athletes need to have. It's a safety equipment. I just feel like, should the school be supplying that?
Absolutely agree. The school should be purchasing the headgear. A couple things with that. One is that we're ordering real nice, special, high-class headgear, which wouldn't be the typical bid for the headgear the school has to purchase. Also, within the year of buying new singlets, budgeted singlets for the wrestling, but knowing, I guess my time of knowing when they needed the headgear and having a new coach who's learning his equipment and what he has available, coming forward to me with the singlets and then the headgear is just something that I couldn't do in 1 year.
Right. Oh, I understand why we didn't do it this year. I'm just thinking, you know, as we look into future budgets, should it be part of the ongoing thing that the school purchases in the same type of rotation we do?
It's not a personal item, it's a piece of equipment that wrestlers need and they use. We got it.
Just a clarification, Bert, and when you talk about the additional coaches for the unified sports, I just wasn't sure, do you mean we would be adding a whole second team or just having another coach for the existing team? Is it a way?
No, two teams.
Okay, so we'd be able to
For basketball.
be able to expand.
And the reason is we had 24, 25 kids last year, and it's hard to work in the partners and the athletes as it is with basketball. And I just think with another coach that opportunity, those kids would get more playing time, more of an experience, and it's just better off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very supportive of the unified sports, and I wasn't sure whether if it meant a second team, are there other costs associated with that, like additional uniforms or additional transportation?
So it's a good question. We currently have enough uniforms because we uniformed 24 last year.
Okay.
So we'll still have the same uniforms. Based on the schedule, I think the only difference would be transportation if our schedule set the teams off for 2 different one may be home, one may be away, so transportation may be the only.
To be able to, the budget covers that, so it's really.
And a coach, but
Yeah.
as far as, that's really.
Okay.
In a 6-week cycle, 3 home, 3 away, we're really looking at 3 additional trips.
Yeah, again, and I don't take the questions as like a criticism, I was just trying to understand it, was it essentially we'd be able to expand the opportunity for kids to participate, which I think is exactly what we want to do. So, okay.
Okay, turn back over to you.
So I just want to talk about quickly a change in the process that we're going to do for the considerations this year. Typically, the next slide would be the cost of those considerations that you've heard. We add them to the expense side, which increases our gap. Given where our gap is right now, the revenue challenge that we're having and our health claim challenge that we're having, we want you to hear about them, we want to talk about them with you, but we're not adding them in typically as we have in the process. We'll review them again later, we'll fine tune the budget and see what's important to the board and important to the team and what we can do. But at this point, it's just conversation sake, so you hear what we've been talking about. So any other questions from the board regarding anything budget?
I just, I've seen in the news recently, I think the state has like a $6 billion budget for fall, which is being reported as also. I'm just wondering what you hear as part of the groups that we participate in, is the sense that the aid picture isn't going to get much better, that because of the budget conditions of the state as a whole.
So I'm heading to Albany Saturday. You'll be up there for the next 3 days. I have those discussions. The aid package is going to change. Both Andrew's first cousin, Carl Hasty, are very pro-education, and they are very reluctant to let the governor have any final say, such as rewriting the foundation aid formula so you can't see what's in it, so you can make any changes you want to power. They fought this off last year. I have a strong suspicion that they're going to fight it off again. They do have a problem with the community foundation, community school aid, because really, as you heard what Katie said, he's taking it from our foundation aid and saying, you will spend it out this, when everybody still needs their foundation. If you notice, he proposed a 3%. By his own law, he's supposed to be at 4%, which is $1.1 billion just in foundation aid. So I think there's a lot of room and change. It's just like camping transportation aid. If I have kids and my costs go up, all everything he's doing is to shift more costs from the state and say this local will take care of it. And it's up to you to figure out. It's the same thing he did with Medicaid with the county 3, 4, 5 years ago, and he shifted it, but then he changed what's in Medicaid to be being more generous. And the $6.8 billion is almost entirely Medicaid. And he's being challenged that we must take it from Medicaid, not from anybody else. Because remember, we had gap elimination. We were worried that he may try a gap elimination too. But our advocacy really kicks off this week over the next month, so I'll be back and forth. But pretty much a lot of them, sure, remember, we'll let the governors run, but it's going to change. Now, I can tell you, we did that last year, it changed, I think we got that extra $12,000 a year. Because they do change this way. We'll give more to the poor. The hard part is when you compare. Our governor, and I don't mean to use this phrase, but he's trying to be Robin this year. He said, we're going to take from the schools that have and get to the poor. He's forgetting that New York City is considered the average. They're getting $225 million in additional aid under his proposal. The rest of the state is getting $200 million. Shared off in his point. Almost every county has one school district that took the hit. Schuyler was Odessa. New Bedford was Hannibal. Chemung was who? You see? But if you look downstate, I sort of planted the downstate. Go to Westchester County where the governor was, Chappaqua. You know they have a much higher tax base. they're getting an additional $550,000 in aid while we're getting a reduction in aid. And yet they're not the wealthiest, Scarsdale. But Scarsdale is still getting a $200,000 increase in aid, and we're getting a cut. Drop from the rich to pay for the poor. You don't know how it works out in his formula. That's all.
I don't want to go into long discussion about this, but the other thing in the media was that those that are perhaps like us have a lower cost per student in terms of education, was supposed to get some benefit. That didn't play out either.
No, I mean, lower cost for us means we're not raising as much, but then when you pull the money back, we've got to raise more to cover. Think of it this way. TRS went up this year. For us, TRS and ERS is a $917,000 cost that we didn't have already. So you can see we went from 5.4, 900 change, $200,000 loss from CCC. There's 1.1. What was the other? Oh, 200. We're already at 1.3, $1.4 million, but we haven't even started the budget process just from changes in either expenditure or revenue that we have absolutely no control over. So that's why we do our job and we're trying to make sure that we give you the best information, because that's what we mean by this is going to be a challenging year. Because we have needs, I don't know how much needs we can get. So we may have to close some as we go. So just be aware of that we're not trying to sound alarm bells, because I can tell you, Katie's been doing a wonderful job when we started at 6.4. So it's 6.1 now. I mean, it was 6.2 at 3 o'clock today. So I just want you to come back tomorrow. So. Other
Budget questions?
That's the start. Every 2 weeks we'll be coming back, except at the end of March.
The next thing on our agenda is other questions. Jeff, on those who are moving over.
I just needed to publicly discuss. We have been challenged by the village of Horseheads that we need to complete a road use agreement. I mentioned this before. They finally did send an agreement their attorney wrote to our attorney. And Katie, if I sort of quickly do it, basically they said we're liable and responsible for anything that happens on their streets. We're a government agency. We do not believe we have to succumb to their pressure. Even though their attorney supposedly is not putting pressure on us. So we have them at least send it to James. James has sent it back, basically stripping out all of it. And saying, hey, we'll sign the agreement and we'll do the agreement, but we're not liable for anything. I don't believe they're going to close down our project, but if they do, we would have to go to court and file an injunction for that we will be damaged as a community. We would have to look at Department of Transportation. Because honestly, they get state and federal funds to keep up the roadways, of which we're a government agency, just like we're obligated as a taxing authority to take care of government property, so are they. They enter into no other road use agreement with any other company, manufacturer, or business in the area. So I don't know why they all of a sudden think they're going to tell the school district we're going to pay for the roads that we travel on. By law, they are required to have truck routes. We are using those truck routes. By law, those trucks have to deviate to make deliveries, whether it's for dirt or anything else, metal and steel. We have a right to deviate. You can't landlock us. So we're trying to be good neighbors. Like we said, we actually reached out to them before, and this is what we get. I have had the deputy mayor reach out and say, hey, you maybe want to sit down because I did sort of complain. And I said, yeah, but I'm not sitting down with a lawyer. I don't have a problem with the village manager, the mayor, the deputy mayor, myself, Katie, and Mike. We have a wonderful relationship. Mike and Nate Nagel, when he wasn't the village manager, worked wholeheartedly together to try to work for the best interest of everybody in the community and the school. I think that's always been our approach. I believe that's Nate's. I think sometimes an attorney may get involved, and that's not to put it upon the attorney, but, you know, please forgive me, Dan, Caitlin, Doug. Attorneys get involved, it gets formal. If we damage a road, I mean, we went to them because we didn't want to damage their road. We wanted to use roads that they were going to repair. In other words, make common sense. So we are trying to confine ourselves to Sayre from Lake, which they've already told us they're going to hold off repairing Sayre until we're done with the main road needs. Because the road's deteriorated. They do have to fix it, and they'll hold off. That's fine. They did replace Sayre over on the other side by the cemetery coming in. But the truck route comes down that access way, and right when you make the turn, there's about 100 foot of road that's not truck road. So we could do that. That's a very small portion. But they've even asked us, please use Sayre. It's about 5 years old. It costs somewhere around $35,000 to $40,000 to do, which means it's proportionally already devalued. And we said no problem. It's actually a straight route. That we don't mind that, hey, if we have to, we can't give you direct money, but we can do off trades like we did with dark fiber and everything else. That's probably going to be the nature of our conversation. But in the meantime, I'm going to probably have James, after we have this conversation, reach out and say, this is what we're even considering at that, and it's going to be a process. So I just wanted you to be aware of it. Any questions on that? Do you feel we're heading in the right direction, trying to say, we'll be as good neighbors as possible. If we destroy that road, we can set legally some money aside to help repair it. But I don't think we should ever be bound by a road use agreement that no other company, not the town, not the county. If this is so important, why isn't the county also subject to this road agreement? They're a government agency. So we're going to try to work it out, but we wanted to let you know where we're standing right now to move forward. I do not believe, I will tell you, their town board fully knows anything about this. Because I know at least a couple people have talked to their board members and they were clueless. So we don't want to raise concerns, but we do want to try to treat them fairly. And now we'll reach out to the mayor and say, if you want, we'll come to your town board meeting. I'll express the same thing. But I just wanted you to know and make sure you're okay with that before.
Maybe more for James, but it seems to me like the threshold question is there some basis for them to require us to enter into? You know, is there some law, local law, whatever, that says the town may require any, a group using the roads to enter into road use agreement?
James's initial review of that is there's no such statute or anything on the village book. He has even asked for them to produce those statutes that would require it, and has not seen a thing nor a response. Just that, no, we have the right, we're going to make it. So somebody wants to fight. I don't think, honestly, I have a source of 3 people. I think it's really potentially 2, with the lawyer being back. Now, he's doing his job. He's looking out for the best interest of the village. But sometimes looking out for the best interest to get what you want will cost different relationships down there. We're trying to avoid that.
Yeah, it's helpful. And I think, for myself at least, I agree that if this is not something that's going to require other groups that are using the roads, and we're doing everything we can to try to be good stewards of that, forcing us to enter into a draconian agreement is unfair. But if there was some clear statute they could point to and say, it says right here, we have the right to do this, so it's essentially losing battle for us, like we had in mind. That sounds like.
Yeah, that was where we went first with James. I've never heard of that. First of all, it's about a 5-ton weight limit. Our buses are all over 5 tons. We run 1 million miles. We will not be running 1 million miles with this project. They go on truck routes and they go on non-truck routes. Their own garbage trucks are almost 10 to 15 tons when they're fully loaded. The county trucks that run. So as you can see, there's a variety of trucks that make deliveries. I mean, I will tell you, I will show them. I got pictures of your own village trucks on our parking lot doing the same type of damage, but We know that's part of our unique relationship together. So we just want to let you know that we will approach it with the most magnanimous, cooperative agreement to try to do it without the agreement and work together just like we've been always doing. So we just wanted to let you know that, people. It sounds like everybody's okay with that? And then we'll keep you updated. The last thing is Jim Frame did contact me. I know I told you about Mr. Brian O'Donnell stepping back from the board. He got the 1-year appointment, but he's not going to seek re-election. Jim did talk to me the other day and said it meant this is a full-time seat. He would like to extend it to us to consider if we have somebody, even in the community or on the board, that would like to do that. I told him I'd let you know tonight, and then I'd try to give him an answer at our next budget meeting, which will be there. 19th? 27th, and then we'd have to move quickly because I think you have to do nominations in March. So if anybody would like to, or if you know anybody, please just send a name to Nancy and then we'll start the process. Okay, that's all I have.
Anyone else? Okay, need a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Right, drive home safely, everyone, be safe on the roads tomorrow.
Are we having weather tomorrow?
Maybe. You never know.
You'll call me. Yeah. I'm heading to Buffalo, so I'll be doing a closing from there if we need one.
Yeah, right.